So people in India consume dairy, not really knowing what are the benefits or the harm that dairy can do to you. Dairy has been researched significantly, and the premise that I'd like to first set here is that dairy is not what your grandfather was consuming or what your grandmother was consuming. It's different today. It's been changed because it's pasteurized and homogenized. Homogenization releases something called xanthine oxidase, which goes into your system and really harms you rather than giving you anything beneficial. Pasteurization strips it of all the vitamins and minerals. So it's really not, unless you're telling me, listen, I'm rearing my own cow, I don't give it any growth hormones, and the dairy is coming from that cow to my table, which is not happening with most of us. In fact, I think 90% of Indians don't have their dairy that way. Dairy has casein in it, which goes into your intestines and sticks to the gut, forms like a curd-like substance, prevents nutrient absorption. Dairy's pH balance is slightly acidic. When it goes down into your system, the body warms it further, making it even more acidic. So most people who have acid reflux don't really know that they're getting it because they are heavy dairy consumers. In fact, Indians are told to drink more milk to cut down their acidity. So it's like a double whammy. And another thing is that, dairy does change the digestion of dairy in your system is not complete. So what happens is there's an interplay between the lungs and the intestine that's going on. Most people who have bronchial issues are suffering with this. Dairy releases gases in the form of carbon dioxide that goes up into your lungs, sticks to the walls of your lungs, and prevents anything from happening, any kind of oxygenation that's going to happen there. Also, the that kind of a condition is not great for people with bronchial issues. So people who have asthmas, people who have allergies, there's a damp mucousy condition in your lungs because of all this dairy release. And this is going, there's an interplay, it's not digesting properly. Dairy has casein in it, like I said, and it also, the undigested part of dairy starts forming cysts in your body. One of the reasons why women are getting so much of breast cancer today is because of this. There's a cyst that forms. You cannot get rid of it. Usually with women, it comes up in the breast where there's fatty tissue, and most often than not, dairy is the culprit. So there's all this, confusion as to, milk is fortified with vitamin D, you got to take it. Marketers are touting all this information on your Tetra Paks. However, the same stuff that you get out of dairy, you can get, like, calcium. This big myth about how will I get my calcium, Well, your calcium, do cows really have, where are cows getting it from? Are they having milk? They are strong, they have big bones, they have good density of their bones, they're having grass. What is needed for the calcium is really magnesium, and you need vitamin C to absorb the calcium in your body. Unfortunately, dairy calcium is not very absorbable. So there's all this stuff going on around dairy, and you can get your calcium from dairy from other sources. Okay, there's leafy greens, there's spirulina, all high in chlorophyll, which actually have magnesium as the center molecule. So magnesium is helping you to absorb the calcium from those sources rather than dairy, which is not assimilating. Some of it is going as cysts in your body, some of it is sticking to your gut and causing all these issues. So it's better to go with the absorbable sources of calcium rather than a source which is giving you a bit of the calcium but also giving you 10 other things with it. And there's no assimilation happening. So therefore, all this fat deposit around the hips and around the your muscles looking bulky, it's all this dairy which is getting lodged in your tissues and the linings of your tissues to cause this bloatedness, so to say, to your system. So women, if you want to lose your hips and you want to not pad up on your thighs, try it out. There's always you can always experience it. You can always give it up for a week and see what difference it made to you. I'm not saying cut it out completely. I'm saying try and achieve some sort of a balance with dairy. Very, very important. Macrobiotics is all about working with balance. So let's first start with achieving balance. You can transition into it. You don't need to do it right away. If you're having a glass of milk and a bowl of curd, maybe quit the glass of milk, keep having the bowl of curd, see the differences that you come across in your system, see how your body talks to you after that. So I think dairy, you can transition out into it. There's a lot of substitution for dairy. I know that a lot of what I've talked about in my other videos will deal with that subject. You can substitute dairy. Like I have people who have gone to almond milk and they have gone to cashew milk. They're doing nut milks instead of doing dairy in their tea. We haven't taken away the tea from them. They're still having their dairy, not having the dairy, but having non-dairy creamers or whatever. So, that's the load on dairy. I think you should be careful of it. I think you should research yourself. A great study that's been done on dairy has been the China study. It's a book written by Colin Campbell. You should get your hands on it, make yourself aware of what he says, and the study that he's done. It'll give you the load on dairy.